going to start off answering what is a titration first. What is the point of it? You're right, it is a neutralization reaction. Maybe you have hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide, which is a base, and you're going to neutralize them, which will produce sodium chloride and water. Now, when you neutralize them, the pH is going to approach 7, right? So if we had, let's say, an acid in the flask down here and maybe the base in this burette, then this would be a high pH, so pH higher than 7, and this would be pH lower than pH 7 because it would be an acid and that would be an alkali. And when we have just the right proportion, then they're going to approach pH 7. They're going to neutralize each other. So that's the reaction that's happening. The point of the experiment is to identify the concentration. So we have a known concentration and an unknown concentration. So perhaps we know the concentration of the acid, but maybe we don't know the concentration of the alkali, or vice versa. Now, the thing that we do know the concentration, in fact, it doesn't really matter which way around you do it, actually. Whether the known one is there, the known one is there. There might be a convention, but in terms of the actual calculation, it doesn't really matter. You can still do the calculation. I'm not going to include that in this video. I'm just simply describing what it is and general what we're trying to do. So we're dripping through one of these substances and mixing it with the other one, and we're trying to see what volume of this, the titrant, is needed to neutralize it. That's really the thing, and we're then going to use that to calculate the concentration. That's where the calculation comes in, which I'll include in the next video. So the reading the volume necessary to neutralize it is what is all to do with the methodology of titration. So when they ask you a question about how do you carry out titration, it's really all about making sure that you read an accurate volume, or you record an accurate volume, the volume that is necessary to neutralize whatever is down here. So we have to add some sort of indicator so as we can see when we've neutralized it. And we need to place that maybe on a piece of white paper so as we can clearly see what color it is while we're neutralizing it. And we want to be stirring it the whole time, because if we don't stir it, it might be that we've already approached the point at which it's neutralized, but we've just not stirred it and allowed all the different reactants to meet one another. So stirring it continually is one of the things that we want to be including. So let's just include some of the things we want to be including in your answer about how to carry out the titration. So stirring, always stirring. Reading the volume itself. Now notice on this piece of this diagram here, whenever you read a volume, the water sort of curves up at the sides. And this is due to a strange property that, well, all liquids have, but water has it quite a lot. It's called... I've forgotten the name of it now. It's surface tension. Surface tension. So, but in any case, it curves up at the side. So when you read the volume, you've got to read this bit here, not this bit here. You also need to look at your eye level. So make sure the eye level is horizontal with the thing. You don't want to be looking at it from an angle. If you look at it from an angle, then you're going to read inaccurate volume as well. So we've got the stirring, we've got the eye level, we've got to make sure that we don't measure the meniscus as the volume, but the bottom part of it. And then it's a matter of how do we know that we've definitely dripped through the exact volume that we want. Certainly we want to repeat and get averages. Repeat and average, as well as ignore anomalies, same as any other kind of method, any collecting results. But with titrations, there's an extra one that I always advise, because you want to be dripping this titrant through really, really slowly, but you don't have all day to do the experiment, right? So the first thing you want to do is let it go through at a reasonable rate, stirring the whole time, and then you're going to see, oh, I see. So the volume was roughly, when I went through reasonably quickly, the volume was let's say roughly, I'm going to just include this over here, perhaps the volume was roughly 25 milliliters. Now, it wasn't exactly 25 milliliters. We want to have a more precise volume than that. But let's say it was roughly 25 milliliters. We got that when we did it quickly. So when we do it to get our accurate measurements, we speed up until we get to around about 24, 24.5 maybe, and then we slow it right down. We drip, lots of stirring, because we know that the true value is around about 25. So there's no point going really, really slowly for the first 10 milliliters. We're just going to run out of time and not get enough measurements. So I would say so what would we call that? The first attempt is just to get a range, get a rough range. So you know what I mean by range? So like it's going to be roughly somewhere between, say, 23 and 26 milliliters. I can say for certain it was less than 23, and I can say for certain it was less than 26. So that means I can speed it up, go really, really fast until I get to 23, then stop it, stir it, make sure that it hasn't neutralized yet, and then slow it right down. And then I can just do the same thing with and do that like 3 or 5 times. Okay. As long as you talk about all those things, then you're going to really get the result, get everything you really need to talk about. It's all about how do you measure accurate volume. Okay, so titration is just all about what volume of something is needed to neutralize something else. Okay, and then once you've got that volume, you're going to use some other information to identify the concentration of one of the unknown substances. So we'll look at that next.